Hello, everybody. Welcome to a short yoga flow to help release your hips and your neck. This is just really great for overall body tension. Most of us tend to store our tension either somewhere in our shoulders or in our hips. So we're going to get everything moving and hopefully you'll feel a lot better afterwards. Come to any comfortable seated position. You can sit with your legs crossed. For a lot of people, this isn't comfortable, so you could also stretch your legs out in front of you or sit with your heels underneath your sit bones. Take a moment, you can close your eyes if you like, and just start to connect to your breath. And you might feel as you start to breathe deeper that some of the tension in your neck starts to melt away already. Usually when we're stressed, we breathe into this top third of our lungs, and then all of these other muscles in our neck are helping to move our rib cage and help us breathe. So if you start to breathe lower into the body, into the diaphragm, maybe even put your hands just below your rib cage, and feel this part of your body moving as you breathe. And take one more deep breath. And then release your hands down into your lap. Really focus on keeping your collarbones open and your shoulders down away from your ears. Let your chin drop down towards your chest and just breathe into the back of your neck. And we're breathing in and out through the nose the whole time. If you feel like you need an extra release, you can always exhale out through your mouth, but trying to breathe in and out through the nose is ideal. And then drawing one ear over towards the shoulder, moving slowly and going over to the other side. And just moving from side to side at your own pace. I like to stay in kind of the front half and not move my head backwards. And that's because there can be in some people kind of this, like, if you look back and up like this grinding action on your first two vertebrae. So I just like to avoid that if possible. But if it feels good, you can go ahead and do that. Okay, now let's take one ear to one shoulder and reach the opposite hand down and away. So we're anchoring this shoulder in place and we're lengthening from the ear to the shoulder. And then breathe here. So don't feel like you have to push or pull on your head. Everything in our neck is pretty delicate. So just hold and breathe. And see where you can let go. A lot of us tend to clench our jaws without even noticing it. On your next breath, turn your nose to look towards your opposite shoulder and notice how this kind of turns a little bit more into the front of your neck. Good. And then draw your head back to center. Bring both of your hands together. We'll lift the head up nice and tall, going to the other side. So your hand releases down. Draw your ear towards your shoulder. So you're anchoring this shoulder in place. And you're thinking with every inhale, creating more space in the neck, and every exhale, letting the tension leave the body. Keeping your gaze straight forward for now. And then turn your nose to look towards the opposite shoulder, keeping this shoulder glued and anchored in place. And take one more deep breath. And then let's release the hand down, chin to chest. Roll your shoulders up by your ears and then down and back as you stack the head. Okay, I'm going to switch to a cross-legged position because I feel like that would feel better. If you'd like to adjust your position, go ahead. If you were already sitting cross-legged, I'd go ahead and switch the leg that was crossed in front in order to keep your body even. We'll inhale to reach the arms up overhead. You can look up as your palms touch. Interlace the fingers and then press the hands out and away. So ideally, we want to have straight elbows and we want our biceps pulling next to our ears. Now, I can't do that without thrusting my ribs forward, so I'm just doing the best I can. And then draw your chin towards your chest. Press your hands out and away from you. Round through your upper back. And then on an inhale, reach up towards the ceiling. Find some extension through your spine. Exhale, chin to chest, round through your upper back. Feel your shoulder blades pull away from each other. And inhale to reach up, look up, open. Good, one more time. Exhale, reach forward, press out and away. And then inhale, lift back up. Good, and then let's release the hands down, slowly roll out through the wrists. Good, nice. Let's take a couple of side body stretches here. One hand reaches down, inhale, reach the opposite arm up and over, breathe. Ground through your opposite hip. Notice how my knee wanted to come up there. And then inhale up through center and over to the other side. So grounding down through your sit bones and reaching out and over. And then inhale up through center. Good. Okay, let's transition into an four-legged or quadruped position. So I want your wrists underneath your shoulders, your knees underneath your hips. I like to tuck my toes here because the bottoms of my feet also get really tight, and so that just helps to open it up extra. And if you want an extra stretch, you can turn your fingers towards your knees. Let's go into cat and cow. As you inhale, let your belly drop, look up towards the ceiling. And then as you exhale, push the ground away, tuck your chin in towards your chest. And then move at your own pace and trying to think about the whole spine moving from the crown of your head through your tailbone. Good. And this is just a gentle release. You're not trying to push or pull too intensely in the body. Good. And then let's come back to center here. Turn your hands so the fingers face forward. Okay. So before we stretch the hip flexors, I want to activate the glutes in order to help them release a little bit better. So take one leg, reach your toes behind you, tuck the toes under, and just press a little bit front to back. So first we're going to lengthen through our calf and make sure that is open, because if your calves are tight, it's a lot harder to activate the glutes. Okay, and then find a centered position. So push strong through your arms, lift the leg up, bend into the knee, and just find some little reaches up towards the ceiling with your toes. Make sure your abdominals are engaged. So sometimes stretching isn't all things that feel good. Sometimes it's an activation of the body followed by a release in order to help you get deeper. Good. And then hold here, reach the leg back out, and then draw the knee in underneath the hip. Okay, if you need to take a little break in child's pose, go ahead and do that now. If you're feeling good through your wrists and your abdominals engaged, let's go to the other side. Left leg reaches out behind you, push back through your heel, and then forward, stretching through the bottom of your foot. And also remember to keep your head lifted. A lot of times we forget that our neck is part of the spine, so if your head has started to drop here, push into the hands more and keep it lifted. Okay, let's lift the leg up, trying to keep my hips in line. So my leg is not way up in the air because then that tilts my pelvis. I'm going to bend the knee and just start to reach my toes up towards the ceiling. Hitting my little tree there. Good. And really think about the glute activating here. Think open through the hip flexors. 2 and 1. Okay. Set the knee down. Let's take the big toes together, knees out to the side. We'll all go into a child's pose here, reaching your hands forward. Let your forehead make contact with the mat. And if your low back is really tight and your head's floating off the ground, you can stack your palms or make fists and let your forehead rest onto your hands that way. Breathe into your shoulder blades. Let your fingers relax. And then on an inhale, let's reach back out and forward. We're going to lift up, tuck the toes under, come into a downward facing dog. Reach the right leg up long behind you, and it doesn't have to be high, but remember that glute activation. Don't let your glutes relax here. Draw your knee towards your nose and step the foot down between the hands. So it might only go halfway the first time around. Just continue to step it forward until you have your knee about over your ankle, and then lower the back knee down. And again, I'm going to keep my toes tucked under here. You could also do this way, but I like the extra stretch through the bottom of the foot. Now we're going to lift up, and I'm purposefully not bending all the way forward. I want to stay back a little bit in order to really press through the front of my hip here. Take the same hand down as is on the leg, and then reach over and just breathe here. So again, it's not a huge push or pull. I'm just gently leaning into the stretch. One more breath. And then bring your hands down. Let's bring them both to the inside of the foot here. And now you can start to lean forward, getting more into the inner thighs. If your body allows, you can go down onto your forearms, maybe letting this knee go out to the side, but you should feel this stretch through your hip area and not through your knee or your ankle. Okay, and then press back into your hands. One hand on either side of the foot. Tuck your toes. Lift back to your downward facing dog. Take a moment here to stretch through the back side of the body. Inhale, reach the left leg up towards the ceiling. And then draw the knee towards the nose. So try and get your foot as close between the hands as you can. If you need to take some tiny little steps forward, that's okay. Lower the back knee down. Your toes can be tucked under or not, up to you. And slowly lift your hands up onto this front leg. So my left hand is going to stay down on top of the left knee. Right arm reaches up and over, and it's just a gentle side bend. And I can really feel my hip flexors stretching here. So right at the front of your hip. If you don't feel that, maybe move yourself forward or backward or adjust side to side. It doesn't really matter what the pose looks like. It matters that you're feeling it in the right position, which is a little bit different for everybody. Inhale, reach back up through center and bring both hands down on the inside of your foot. So now you can really let your hips lean forward. If that feels good on your body, you can come down onto your forearms if you feel like that adds something to the stretch. And then I like to imagine like I'm pressing my legs out and away from each other, almost like you're trying to rip the mat apart underneath you. And then continue to breathe here, remembering that your head is part of your spine, so don't let it drop down. Keep it lifted. Let's take 2 more deep breaths, thinking of breathing into the belly using the diaphragm. And 1 more. Okay, walk your hands back up. 1 hand on either side of the foot. Let's tuck the toes, lift the hips, coming back into our downward facing dog. Take 1 deep breath here, really push the ground away. Then we'll walk our feet forward towards our hands. Take a moment to really soften into your knees. Even if you feel like you don't need to, you can shake your head yes, shake your head no, and just grab elbow to elbow here. Oh. And slowly release the hands down and roll up 1 vertebra at a time. Coming all the way up to stand. We'll inhale to reach our arms up tall, and then draw your hands down to the center of your chest. So that was just a quick little, you could use it as a yoga warm-up or as a warm-up before other activities. It's great for beginners or just a day where you're short on time and want to do a little bit of decompression. So please subscribe or leave comments if you have any. Happy to know, what brings you to yoga. Awesome.